Hello, everybody. My name is Oliver G. This is the Earful Tower podcast, and I've been thinking a lot about the mayor of Paris, mostly because she's not the mayor anymore. We got a new mayor, and I was thinking we don't talk about politics on this show very much, especially because I want it to be sort of evergreen. You can listen to episodes years from now, and they'll still hit the same way. But then I thought, what if we get an expert in today who can talk about the past, the present, and the future of the mayor of Paris? So I started talking to Katy Lee, who you might recognize her voice from the Europeans, a podcast about Europe. You might read her Substack already, which is called Millefeuille. Or you might not know either of these things, and you'll be about to click on them in the show notes below. Who knows? But she's sitting across from me. We're about to talk about the mayors of Paris. We'll start with a bit of music, and here we go. That music was from Press Maxon, and sitting in front of me is Katy Lee. How you doing?
Hi, Oliver. Nice to be back.
Back is the right word.
Uh-huh.
When was the last one?
2018.
Shame on us.
Can I just say, though, how amazing that we first spoke when our little baby podcasts were very small and very young.
Yep.
And they're now both nearly a decade old. And, like, implausibly, they're still running. How cool is that?
You know what a decade-old podcast is in human years?
No, is it like a dog years type thing?
I don't know. I think it must be like
150.
I think it's 100.
Yeah, ish.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many new
Geriatric.
podcasts have started in the time that since we last sat down in the studio?
50 gazillion million.
That's exactly it. First, I think back then we sat in the studio and we did back to back. Like I was on yours and you were on mine. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you listened back to either of them?
No, but I want to, and I want to hear what my nervous podcast voice sounds
You
like
think?
because I was
You're
new to the
nervous?
game.
Well, now we're two seasoned pros, and you've gone and started a Substack.
Yeah.
Can we do a shout out to that straight away? Can I do a compliment?
Do a
I
compliment.
love the way you write.
Thank you so much. That's so
Sincerely.
kind.
No, I really do.
Oh,
You got a real good, I don't know, you got a grasp on explaining things in a way that is, it's pleasant to read.
oh well, thank you. That's kind of the idea behind it. So basically, I make a podcast that is about the continent, so it's super zoomed out.
Right.
And I was feeling towards the end of last year like, God, I feel really kind of out of touch with local news. And I want to make something that explains just one news story, like a hard news story that's been happening in the city of Paris every week to people who live here, maybe people who visit a lot, and just explain it in a way that feels fun. So it's kind of like what I do with my podcast, which is trying to make European politics, which is not the easiest thing to make fun, feel fun,
Right.
and do the same for local news here
Do
in
you
Paris.
feel like you do this stuff in typical life as well, trying to make boring things fun?
Yes, I do.
Well, you got little kids now, so you have to.
Yes, laundry is now fun.
Is it?
Yes.
Is that how you do it? Dinner? Fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Eating
So,
your vegetables, so fun.
I mean, why did you feel the need to do this about Paris news?
Well, do you know what? It's really funny. I was walking down the road with a friend and he said, this is where that girl got kidnapped, the daughter of that crypto boss. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? And it turned out that a few streets away from where I live, there had been this crypto kidnapping.
I remember that.
And it felt like a really big news story. And it's the kind of thing where if you don't read Le Parisien, our local newspaper, every single day religiously, you might miss that.
Yep.
And
There's a video of that as well.
Yeah, there is a video.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Crazy.
And for some reason, this experience just stayed with me. And I found it very troubling that like this thing had happened and I was like, oh, this really passed me by. So I felt a little bit disconnected from like what's happening on the streets of our city. And I really wanted to, like for myself, kind of get to grips with it. So the newsletter is really about me getting back to grips with like the super local and sharing that experience with everyone else.
But people might know that you have a background in journalism. They might not know that.
Yeah. I should probably clarify
Serious journalism.
I was a very serious
Well,
journalist.
what were you doing when you were journalisting around? Was it like the hard news of Paris or beyond? Or what were you
Paris
doing?
and beyond. So I worked for Agence France Presse, which is France's like public news agency. It's kind of like the Reuters or the Associated Press of France.
Yep.
I was Paris correspondent for that news agency, but I also traveled around a lot, reported from like Greece during the financial crisis, from Hong Kong during all the pro-democracy protests there about a decade ago.
Yeah.
So like very much like hard news is my background
Yeah.
and I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
So that's also the newsletter is my way of trying to like get back into hard news, but do it like with a little bit of a twist that makes it feel a bit less serious and a little bit more.
It's a nice idea. I like it. It's cool. I mean, I've read a bunch of them, so keep up the good work. And you and I are different in that respect because I used to be a journalist in Paris. And I also liked, what I miss is the breakneck breaking news.
The buzz of it.
The fast stuff. Quick, do that. This is big. I love that. I love the rush from that. But the hard news, that was part of the reason I didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. Especially with all the terror attacks and everything that was happening in Paris. I was kind of like, I might start a podcast and just interview fun people about their life and their favorite cafes and stuff. And
I get that.
The mayors of Paris, these kinds of things.
Nice segue.
You know what I'm doing.
But I mean, it can get really heavy, right? Yeah. So on the newsletter, I try and keep a little mix of I've done a bit of politics and like some really heavy stuff like police violence, but also like architecture and like Airbnb policy. Yep. It's a real mix.
You did the thing on the, what's it called, where the cows and the... What's the word for it? Oh my gosh.
The Salon de l'Agriculture.
Yeah, that was good as well.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Very fun day out.
What was that bit about Macron had been out there for 14 hours or something once?
He is the record holder for the politician who has spent the longest time at the Salon de l'Agriculture patting cows.
Yeah. So even if you don't, we'll do a proper shout out here. Even if you don't use Substack, firstly, you probably do. People don't even realize that you use Substack. It's just a newsletter, essentially. So you can have it sent to your inbox, just like my newsletter, the Earful Tower newsletter.
Which is also excellent.
Oh, thank you. I'll post them both below. But Earful Tower guaranteed 10% increase in subscribers, Katy.
Oh, thank you so much, Earful Tower listeners.
There you go,
You're
guys.
Very welcome.
Do me proud. Do me proud. Who knows how many listeners and subscribers she's got? You got to help me.
Come on over.
Mayors, though.
Yes, let's talk mayor stuff.
I want you to sort of... I'm sure there's people listening right now who... I'm certain of it, who've never thought about the word mayor Paris. They might come from places that don't have mayors. They might think mayors are oversized scissors, oversized sashes, new...
Or like opening hospitals.
Exactly.
That big ribbon, cutting it with a big pair of scissors.
Of small villages.
Yeah.
Small hospitals.
I don't know if she has a big pair of scissors.
Hidalgo?
Yeah.
Who cares? She's out.
She's gone.
Yeah, but what I want is... and I kind of know some of this stuff, but I'm going to ask you like I know nothing. Mm-hmm. Firstly, the mayor of Paris, what's their role? What do they do?
Well, it's kind of like, any town or village or city, well, not any, but like a lot of cities around the world will have a mayor. And their job is to preside over a local council, which sounds really boring. But like, that's the other thing that's super invisible. This city has a city council, which is made up of like individual councillors who represent local areas. And her job is to preside over stuff that they vote on and put it into action. So they will vote on a decision that they want to change in terms of like the way that we run our city. It might be something to do with like environmental policy, for example. And her job, or his job as it now is, and their team is to put those decisions into action.
Right.
But they also represent our city internationally and nationally. So obviously the Olympics was the time when probably a lot of your listeners would have like seen Anne Hidalgo, even if they weren't aware of her before. She suddenly became this big figure because she's the mayor of the city, right? Of the city that is hosting the Olympics. So she was there smiling and waving at the opening ceremony, and that's very much part of their job as well, just to represent us.
I think a lot of people would probably, who don't have their finger on the pulse of the news, after seeing things like the Olympics, would maybe think, beloved Mayor Anne Hidalgo brings in bike lanes and green spaces. People must love her. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
It's fair for a big chunk of Parisians. And I would argue that like the fact that somebody with very similar policies to Anne Hidalgo has just been elected as our new mayor suggests that actually, despite a lot of grumbling, because we all know Parisians are good at grumbling, I think she'll go down as being a pretty popular mayor, or at least her decisions would have been popular. The things that you've alluded to, the way that she's transformed the city in terms of making it greener. Like just before you and we moved to Paris about the same time, right? Mm-hmm. When was that?
2015.
Yeah, exactly the same time.
What date?
June, I think.
Oh no, I was way before that.
Oh, you're a veteran.
January.
But before we got here, you got to remember there were like cars along the riverbank, and anyone who visits this city now will be able to walk along these beautiful riverbanks.
It's
and enjoy
unbelievable
the
that difference.
It's
that
crazy.
Specifically down near the between the Marais and the Ile Saint-Louis. That used to be. I've got pictures of the street signs, the speed signs where the cars went past when it was flooding. And I look back at them recently, I was like, wow, it's crazy to think cars were there.
It is wild.
Not that long ago.
And now I can't imagine it.
Yeah, exactly.
So those decisions, I think, will go down as being really popular. Yeah. But at the time, they were super controversial. Yep. And she still is super controversial, especially among car owners, because Anne Hidalgo, over the past 12 years, as mayor, she has launched a war on cars. So it's not just taking them off the riverbanks, it's also stuff to do with like parking policy during COVID. Famously, like loads of car parking spaces got turned into restaurants, which people like me who love restaurants and love eating outside were like super big fans of.
Yep. Do you drive a car?
Not yet, but I am moving to the suburbs and I'm probably going to buy a car soon. So that's exciting. So maybe I'll become like a sort of road hog.
Grumbly Parisian?
yeah. Grumbly suburban Parisian.
We used to drive in here.
So all of that stuff. And she's also made the speed limit lower on the Périph', which is this big ring road that if you're visiting Paris, coming in from Charles de Gaulle Airport, you have probably been in a taxi on the Périph', which is this massive road. Hated by a lot of people for how polluted and gross it is, but also like a super useful road that is used by hundreds of thousands of people every single day. Yeah. And like all of our internet shopping comes in on this road. So she made it slower driving on that in a bid to bring down pollution. Paris has got less polluted under Anne Hidalgo. So for people like me who have kids growing up in the city, I'm like, great. But
is it just the car owners who didn't like her? I mean, obviously not, but who else? Like, why else do people not like her?
It's funny, she is not somebody who cares about being liked. She's a very interesting politician, Anne Hidalgo. She made a lot of enemies, including amongst her own party, the Socialist Party, while she was in office. One of which I'm sure we'll come into, is her successor as mayor. They famously didn't get on at all, even though they're supposed to be allies, right?
They hated each other in your Substack.
I mean, they kind of do. And that's the interesting thing about her. She doesn't care about being liked. And that's an interesting thing in a politician. She actually ran for the presidency.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But she's in, 1% or something?
She bombed. She got 1.75%.
And she's like, I don't care.
She was like, I don't care. Moving on. Back to being mayor.
And she's Spanish as well.
She is, and that's a really interesting thing about her. I think she sometimes gets seen as this kind of soft left, champagne socialist representing, people that drink lattes. But she's got really solid working class credentials. She was born in Spain to very much working class parents. Her dad was a welder. Her mom was a seamstress. They moved here when Anne was 2 years old.
Right.
And she went very much into sort of like left-wing politics. She was a labour inspector, did that kind of unglamorous work for a long time, and then found her way into city politics. She's a very intriguing political figure, I think.
I bumped into her once.
Did you?
Yeah,
in what circumstances?
Twice. Once I was doing a walking tour.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, this is the town. I love the town hall. Love that building.
Amazing building.
Love it. And I said, that's where Anne Hidalgo will be kicking around upstairs. And she just walked right into us.
No way.
I was like, there she is. And she was really pleasant.
She said hello?
Yeah. She spoke English and she said hello. She asked where they were from and that kind of thing.
Very cool.
And then later, not that long ago, in fact, I was on another walking tour with a group of, it was kind of unusual walking tour. It was like 15 urban, what's it called when you're at university doing something, urban planning. There you go, with these students, and they wanted to come to Paris, and their professor had liked an episode I'd done about something to do with the city's architecture. And I was like, yeah, I'll take them around. I took them around, and we bumped into her on a bridge. And this time, I gave my phone to one of the kids. I was like, just capture this moment. And then I went up to her and I was like, hey, this is what I do. We should talk, blah, 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 blah. And she was really friendly. She said she'd come on the podcast. Never heard back from her.
Oh, Anne.
They always say they will, don't they?
It's like, sure. Give me your number.
Yeah. That's what happened. And she said she had family in the town that I was from. And I was like, okay, fair enough.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the
She's
pictures
got family
were
in
great.
Australia.
Yeah, in Perth, yeah.
No
She even told me
way.
where. I can't remember where. But and the kid took great pictures, like just captured. You always give it 17-year-old your phone if you want to get a good picture of a moment.
They know how to work the gram.
Exactly. So yeah, I met her. She seemed pleasant in the brief time that I met her. But now she's decided to step down. Does that mean she got her eye on the big prize again, or is she just going to slink off?
Do you think so? After that, I mean, it's kind of difficult to come back from 1.75%.
You can only go up.
Well, I mean, she had a very intriguing Christmas card last year. Her Christmas card said something like, "Nothing is impossible."
Yeah.
And the story is not over.
Yeah.
I'm quoting very indirectly because I can't remember what it said, but it was something very intriguing.
Something
like
that means everything and nothing. It doesn't mean.
Ooh, what does that mean? She actually wanted a big fat job at the UN.
Yeah.
She wanted to be UN refugee chief, and somebody else got that job. That was quite recent. So what she got her eye on now, I imagine she's just going to have a nice little bit of Paris retirement, take a bit of time off.
I wonder
walk the
what
riverbanks.
these people because it's hard. I've interviewed other mayors of the districts, and it's hard to really get to know how they feel about the city beyond work.
Yeah.
You know, what do you really like? She can't walk around Paris without getting stopped.
Could she go to the cinema?
That's what I mean. Like, what does she actually like to do when people aren't coming and taking pictures of her or getting 17-year-olds to take pictures of her without her knowing kind of thing?
She's
Like,
going to go to Leal and get an H&M.
I'd love to have the sort of off-script conversation with what she thinks of the city, where she lives and what she really does. But so she's bowed out. There was a big double election as they do here, is in 2 weeks, 2 weekends worth.
Mm-hmm.
New guy in.
New guy.
Another Emmanuel.
Another Emmanuel. It's easy to remember.
Yeah. What's the story with this guy? I'm certain lots of people don't know a single thing about him.
Yeah, which is not surprising because he's just been a kind of guy in the city politics system for a really, really long time. He spent almost all of his career in local politics. So his name is Emmanuel Grégoire, and he is like Anne Hidalgo, a socialist. But for these elections, he managed to do something unprecedented, which is he managed to get loads of left-wing parties to club together and go into these elections as one so that they could combine their vote and all do better together. And if you know anything about French politics, you'll know that that's quite impressive because the left does not like it itself. It's always like this constant infighting. Yeah. So that was already quite an interesting thing about him, that he managed to get this coalition together. It looked like it was going to be a really close election. The other candidate for mayor, who was seen as like, oh, this person could really, really win, was the former culture minister, who was a right-winger called Rachida Dati, who's a very kind of brash but very interesting.
There's a bit of controversy with her as well.
A lot of controversy, just mostly around her personality and her style. Really.
Was there something with jewelry or something, was there?
She's facing corruption allegations right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, during the campaign, she like dressed up as a bin man. What would you call that?
Right.
That's a bin lady.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. She didn't actually win. In the end, it really wasn't close at all. And Parisians turned out in their droves to vote for this guy, Emmanuel Grégoire.
Yeah. She said she'd be on my podcast too.
Did she really?
And when I lived in the 7th and I wanted to talk about the 7th.
Because she's the mayor of that district.
That's right. And everything was, I think I was even almost on the way to do the interview. And they canned it because she had something else to do. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, so
I have some time now.
That's true. So she didn't get the gig. There was a big divide in East-West in France of voting, which is apparently quite typical.
Very interesting.
That West goes right, East goes left.
So it's a really interesting thing that you see in a lot of cities, and it's slightly mysterious. And I think lots of people study it. Like the east of a city is poorer, and therefore tends to vote historically more left-wing, and then the right-hand side, west side is richer and tends to vote more right-wing.
It's the left-hand side even.
Left, right, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, we both live on the right-hand side, don't we?
But I've heard that this in Australia, this doesn't hold because it's like a different hemisphere.
I don't know. Maybe it's all. I heard something about this to do with the smoke from the factories blowing a certain way. Have you heard this before?
Yes, so maybe that's why it doesn't work in Australia because it's like different wind patterns.
Who knows? Okay, but people voted for Monsieur. Let's get his pronunciation right here. Emmanuel Grégoire.
Grégoire.
Your French pronunciation is better than mine. I can tell immediately. I just did a thing for some kids. Did a reading our children's book today. And there's a line in the book that says crème de la crème. And when I said it, they all laughed. And I was like, how bad is my pronunciation? And many of them did 2 thumbs down.
Oh, kids can be so cruel.
And I said, no, I'm going to do it again. And I kept doing it and they just kept laughing. So I gave it up.
Well, that sounded okay to my non-native ear.
Well, that doesn't help. Okay, so people voted for this guy. What do we know? Tell me about him. Paint me a picture.
So like I say, he spent almost all of his career in local politics. He's quite discreet. And he's seen as somebody who is like, he wants politics to be really accessible. So he will, I imagine, if you bump into him on a bridge, Oliver, he will chat to you and maybe actually do the podcast.
Do you know if he speaks English?
I don't actually. I imagine as mayor of Paris that you kind of have to these days. It's
apparently
a world city.
Hidalgo didn't speak very good English.
Oh, did she not?
I'm not sure. I remember there was
a third language. I mean,
yeah, give her a chance. Yeah.
What else do we know about Emmanuel Grégoire? So he came to his victory speech riding a Vélib, a hire bike, which I think really sets the tone for like, this is how he wants to be seen.
So what did he do? He did his victory. He came to, I saw
and then
the
he took the metro home. So he's a public transport guy. He believes in the public transport system, which
the
is
symbolism
cool.
is, it's nice. Whatever you think of his politics, it's nice when they think through their message.
Yeah,
like that. It's nice.
I think so. Yeah. He's seen as someone who can get things done, partly because he knows Paris politics so well and like the sort of machinations that you have to do if you like work at the corridors of power of the city. Yeah. So he knows a lot of people. He's got a really good network. And he's also somebody who he had a really interesting campaign because he opened up about the fact that he had been a victim of sexual abuse when he was a kid. And I think people found that a really powerful moment, actually, or people who knew about it, who heard that interview, were like, wow, that's really, it was like a quite moving interview.
Yeah. And then what, you mean that he's going to introduce some sort of policy that is connected to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Parents in the city might know that there's been quite a big scandal in the last few months around allegations of sexual abuse in kind of like after school clubs. And that was exactly the situation in which he faced abuse as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's something that he feels really personally like he wants to address.
And what else? What about, if he's riding around on a Velib, do you think he actually rides around on a Velib? Legit?
He wasn't wearing a helmet, so...
Okay, so that's not legit. That is pretty legit for Paris, though.
For Paris, yes. Yeah. But naughty.
Naughty, yeah. For the
Get
photos.
yourself a hat.
Yeah, no one wants to be wearing a helmet in their victory pictures.
It would have looked a bit lame.
Imagine
but
Celine
safe.
Dion at the Olympic opening ceremony wearing, a hard hat because she was on the Eiffel Tower. It doesn't work.
jacket.
It doesn't work, Katie.
She could have pulled it off.
Yeah, she probably could have.
What else to tell you about Emmanuel Grégoire? So in terms of like policy changes, he's very much carrying on from what Anne Hidalgo wanted to do. So very big into like greening the city, planting lots of trees, more cycle lanes, trying to turn this big fat road that I talked about, the Périph, this big road around the city that you used to take to get to the airport, turning that into an urban boulevard.
I remember they talking about planting trees along it, and I couldn't believe that. You think that's going to happen?
Well, I hope so. I don't want to be unimaginative and be like, this road has to be filthy forever.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's cool to imagine it as something else. And it has been lots of other things during history. I mean, the whole thing was like a giant slum in like hundreds of years ago. It's really changed over time. So it could be lots of things.
For me, it reminds me of, I'm really interested in the old city walls of Paris, ever expanding city walls that they built. And I wonder if in years to come, it's not a wall, obviously, but it is really the border of, for a lot of people, the border of the city.
What's real Paris and what's not real Paris.
I wonder if in 800 years, tour guides will be walking around going, here's a chunk of what they call the périphérique. This used to be the ring road of where blah blah when they drove cars in the city.
I would love that. I think for outsiders like you and me, it could be really weird. You move to Paris and you're suddenly aware of this like weird road as this like marker in people's psychology of like this is Paris, and if you cross the road, it's not Paris.
True.
I spent a lot of years in London, which is really not like that. It's really blurry, right? Like there's no real edge to it. It's like it's just a big sprawling place. But here, there's very much like an in and an out.
Yeah.
And I think that might change in the years to come. There's this whole Grand Paris project that's going on where they're building loads of new metro lines and trying to make the city feel bigger so that the immediate suburbs feel like part of the city.
Yeah.
And I find that really exciting.
It makes sense. There's no space. It makes sense.
Yeah.
They've got to take away that barrier. I want to talk, you just reminded me, you went out and rode that ski lift thing.
Yeah.
What was that like?
The cable car. So much fun.
Yeah.
You've got 2 little kids, right?
Yes, I do.
Take your kids on that cable car.
How long did it take you to get out there?
Quite a while.
Yeah. You're not selling it to me.
Okay, so the cable car, for those who don't know, it is in Créteil, which is a suburb of southeast Paris. And it's completely random that there was a cable car there.
I saw it on a train when I was going down. I knew it was there, but I saw it when I was going down to Provence recently. And I was
what the heck is that?
Like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
My kids love seeing it.
Yeah.
But going on it, but it seems like such a cool idea.
It was loads of fun.
Yeah.
I will say it's not really designed for tourists. Like if you want to see the Eiffel Tower,
you go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, go closer.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool ride.
Yeah. But that was a mirror side. I want to do something way more tangible because I think a lot of people will listen to podcasts, read news stories about the greenification of Paris and so on. Let's talk about it a little bit as 2 people who've lived here for 10 years. There is a very tangible greening going on that, like, I don't know, you're in the 11th, right?
Yeah.
Even I used to live in the 11th. When I go back there now, 6-7 years later, it looks different. A lot of those roads, they strip a lot of the cars out of the road so they don't even drive down there whatsoever anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, look at, have you been on Oberkampf recently?
I live just off
Okay,
Oberkampf.
so we would have been neighbours then.
We would have been.
But it's not green, but they've redone the whole road. You can it's pedestrianised, kinda.
It's
but
so much better than it was.
Right? Yeah. And even where I live in the 12th, there's a lot of the roads are just disappearing and you can walk. I walked down what were once roads with my young children with no fear that they're going to get hit by anything.
Yeah.
It's so pleasant.
Yeah, and I think we don't realise it. I think it's happened quite slowly.
That's what I mean. So, like, do you see much of that? Like, do you notice, like, even though it's happening slowly, do you, is it visible to you?
I think this moment of having a change in mayor has made us like sit back and take stock and be like, oh, hang on a second, what has changed in the last 12 years, which is pretty much the entire time that I've been here. And Anne Hidalgo actually posted an Instagram post the other day with these kind of slideshows showing like certain roads and how they've been transformed and greened. And I mean, look, let's face it, Paris is still not a lush green capital. There is a lot of concrete everywhere. But I think they've done an incredible amount to make it feel greener. Like, it's really, really changed.
Did you swim in the Seine?
Not yet.
Why not?
Well, I'm still waiting for, this is one of the policies of the new guy. Emmanuel Grégoire wants to open a new swimming area by Bastille.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
cool. Where? Do you know where?
Arsenal kind of area.
In where the boats are?
I guess so, yeah. Port de l'Arsenal.
That's not the Seine though, really? Or is it where it spills down to the Seine?
Water, right? It's the
I
same
don't know.
filthy
Do you know
water.
I've seen big fish swimming in that Arsenal?
Have you really?
I mean really big. I mean like probably a meter.
Oh, so I could be swimming next to a giant tuna. I don't know how I feel about that.
Probably a tuna. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. But why didn't you do it in the past Olympics?
Because I was I heavily pregnant or I'd just given birth? One of those. I've got two very small children.
Both super good excuses, to be fair. Yeah. I love it. Someone asked me the other day what I'd do on my last day in Paris, and I said I'd jump in and let the river carry me for a while just to be part of it.
See where you go. Did you go in during the Olympics?
I went a couple of times.
Yeah?
I thought it was so nice.
What Oh, really?
Yeah. When you swim, I went down in the Marais, and you know, you can swim 20 meters or whatever it was, 50 meters, I don't know. And then when I turned around to come back, I was like, oh wow, there's really something going on here.
Wow.
I mean, it was kind of cool.
I know, you're not really selling it to me. I don't want to do any exercise. I don't want to
just go downhill or whatever it's called, downstream.
Then I'll get out, walk back.
So I want to talk, as time is running away quickly as it always does. I want to talk about what next for Paris. This guy, how long is the mandate for a mayor?
He has 6 years.
It's always 6 years?
Yeah.
12 for Hidalgo? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, elections are quite regular in this country usually, unless someone calls like an emergency one. So he has 6 years to do stuff in, and it's probably going to be like largely more of the same, more green stuff, more like trying to climate change proof the city, because obviously it gets very hot under these zinc roofs of ours. Yeah. So working out a policy for dealing with that. Housing, he's very big into tackling housing and trying to create more housing, like a lot more housing. Anne Hidalgo is actually really ambitious on that front. She spent a lot of money on housing. And that is actually one of the reasons why this city is very indebted. By the end of this year, we're forecast to have like 10 billion euros worth of debt, which doesn't seem great. So he kind of needs to tackle that. I would say that he has a pretty, like, you can't get luckier as a politician, right? He has his whole network. He knows everyone. He's not even going to change the policies. Like, he barely needs to put in new people unless he wants to. Yeah. It's like he can really hit the ground running and hopefully get a lot of stuff done. He's talked about wanting to be really ambitious in terms of like tackling homelessness on the streets of Paris, for example. So I'm really interested to see what he does for the next 6 years.
Do you know how old he is?
He is 48.
48. So he'll be there, yeah. Okay.
Quite young in political terms.
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, okay. It'll be interesting to see if he is, you know, if he puts his money where his mouth is and is ambitious, it like carries through and makes a lot of changes, or if he sort of flies under the radar with long, like what we were talking about with the previous mayor, that when the time's over, you see the changes.
Yeah.
I wonder what we can expect.
I wonder too.
I also wonder if he speaks English, and maybe if I can get... I know we went to the Peloton Cafe recently.
Oh, did he?
Which is my local.
Which is a kind of Anglophone-friendly place.
So he's knocking on some doors.
Well, Manu, if you're listening.
Manu?
Come on the Earful Tower podcast,
yeah. Do you think
please.
he's listening? Do you think he's listening? He
Absolutely
could be.
He's listening. And
Gotta stay.
subscribing to both of our Substacks, Oliver.
Perfect. On that note, speaking of subscribing, everyone, what I want you to do now is go to the show notes or just type it into your phone. Millefeuille, the 1,000-layer dessert.
Yeah, it's a cake with lots of layers. This is a city with lots of layers. You can kind of see what I'm aiming at here.
Better than an onion.
Better than an onion.
Yeah. You went for the right
That's the new
choice there. The
tagline.
Millefeuille, it's linked below, and the podcast is called The Europeans. Check them out. Long time friend of the show, Katy Lee. Thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having me, Oliver. It's been an absolute delight.
So there you go. Once again, Katy Lee and Ollie G. We might do a spin-off podcast. She's still in the studio. What do you think? Spin-off?
Let's do it.
We'll do a spin-off podcast. I don't know what it would be about.
It sounds very 90s, Katy Lee and Ollie G. So 90s music?
90s music.
Done.
In Paris. There has to be a Paris connection. Otherwise, people don't care what I have to say, I think.
Not true.
Not true? Okay, well, Katy Lee, that's her name. Check her out. Everything's linked below. And subscribe to her Substack. I promised her 10%, and I will deliver. As for me, if you're enjoying this show, there's one way to get an awful lot out of it and to keep the cogs spinning, and that's by becoming a member. You can do it on Substack. You can do it on Patreon. Firstly, you unlock a world of bonuses, including very recently I did a live video with Véronique talking about the Marais, talking about Paris. It was like an hour and a half live video. You can watch the replay of that if you're a new member. I'll put a link to that below. Go and check it out and become the newest member of the Earful Tower. Otherwise, I might see you on a walking tour soon. earfultower.com/tours. Come and meet me in Paris. I'll show you the Marais, and who knows, we might just meet the new mayor. You never know. I'll leave you with that thought. Once again, my name is Oliver G, and this is the Earful Tower. Thanks for listening.